In today's video, I'm going to explain why early retirement should not be your goal and how it could really cost you if you focus on this too much. Let's get into it. First thing I need to highlight is that early retirement is not the only way to gain more freedom and flexibility in your life. It can be really easy to think that early retirement is the only goal besides a traditional retirement. I know this was true for me for a period of time. I was so excited about the idea that I didn't have to work in a toxic job forever, that I loved the idea that I could reach a milestone that would enable me not to work another day in my life. The idea that early retirement is the only option is reinforced by an all or nothing understanding of financial freedom. Either you have it or you don't. The FIRE community is notorious for reinforcing this myth by how we talk about financial independence. It's often described as you've either reached FI or you're still working toward it. This could not be further from the truth. Instead, financial freedom is a spectrum with distinct milestones or stages all along the path. As you build wealth, you unlock more and more options. We've actually talked about the 5 most important stages to financial independence in another video, so if you haven't seen that video and are interested in learning more, I'll include a link in the description below. What I didn't realize 6 years ago is that I had saved and accumulated enough wealth that would empower me to make one of many choices to get out of my toxic job, and none of these options included early retirement. I could have found a new job with a less toxic work environment, even if it paid less. Or I could have switched to part-time or even taken a break from work like a mini retirement. These are just a few of the options that were available to me. Ironically, all of these are things that I never considered because I didn't have the same understanding of financial freedom that I have today. Now I understand that early retirement is not the only goal. You have so many other options, and these options are available to you much earlier than early retirement. This brings me to my second point, which is that early retirement is often a goal that is far off into the future. It's not something that most people can achieve in less than 15 years, and sometimes even longer. That's a long time from now. Think of it this way. You could stay in your current situation, perhaps even scrimp and save to shorten the journey to early retirement, or you could leverage the incremental financial freedom you gain along the path to financial independence to improve your life now in the near term. So what exactly am I talking about when I say improve your life in the near term? This will look different for each of us, but it could mean finding a job that you enjoy more, choosing to work part-time, working seasonally, or quitting a side hustle so that you have more time for other things that are important to you. And there's so many more options. The options are only limited by our creativity and what we see others doing. As I mentioned earlier, when I learned of financial independence and early retirement, I was in a toxic job. Before I could make it very far on my journey to early retirement, my body had other ideas. Right after I earned a promotion that I had been working so hard to achieve, I started to experience severe anxiety and panic attacks. It was so bad that I had to eventually take an unplanned 6-month leave of absence. I ignored all the warning signs and my body finally shut down. It took me 6 months to recover to the point where I could go back to work. Although I refused to go back to the same job, I ended up applying for and getting a part-time job that allowed me much more manageable work-life balance. That period of time, while extremely challenging, ended up being extremely influential in my understanding of financial freedom. Over the course of a few years, I went from working full-time in a toxic job to working part-time to regaining mental energy and starting a side hustle that eventually enabled me to leave my part-time day job. I now work 20 to 30 hours per week as an entrepreneur, and I travel around the country for months at a time with my husband and dog in our converted camper van. And I'm able to spend almost all of my time doing things that I actually enjoy. And I was able to do all of these things without jeopardizing my future. I've gained so much more freedom in my life without retiring early. If I hadn't experienced that mental breakdown, there would have been a scenario where I stayed in that toxic job for many years, trying to make the most financial progress toward early retirement, and I would have missed out on all of this freedom and flexibility that I have since gained. This is the reason why sharing my story is so important to me. I have learned that there are so many other options available to you before early retirement. You can continue to pursue early retirement if you want, but you may miss out on years or even decades of freedom and flexibility that might be possible in the near term. And last but not least, the thing you care about the most may not actually be early retirement, but the thing that you are running from. We like to talk about there being both a push and a pull as motivation for financial independence. There can be both something pushing you from your current situation toward financial independence and a pull towards something else. It can be really easy to focus just on the push or the thing that you're trying to escape, that you ignore finding a pull. This was true for me. My push was a toxic job that I so desperately wanted to get out of. Initially, I did not have a clear vision for how I would use that time in early retirement. I just knew I didn't want to continue this way. Are you not sure what's motivating you? The first thing that you can do is try to articulate why you want to retire early in the first place. For some of you, you may find, as it was for me, that it is more about the push of getting out of a job that you don't enjoy and not so much about the pull of something you are looking to do with your freedom. Next, try to articulate what you would do with your time in early retirement. Like, take out a piece of paper and try to write down how you would use the additional 40 to 50 hours per week. And don't cheat and say you would play golf or video games or do something cliche for all of that time. In fact, go ahead right now, pause this video, set a timer for 3 minutes, and try to list out how you would like to use that time. If you find it difficult to articulate how you would use that time, or even think of activities or hobbies that you would enjoy, this may be an indication that it's more about what you are running from and not what you are running to. It may also be an indication that you need to spend more time in a discovery process to better understand what you truly enjoy and where you want to spend your time. I was in a similar situation 6 years ago and personally went through the process that I now run with my paid clients to help me discover how I wanted to spend my time. If you want more help figuring this out, you can check out our video on designing a life that you love. I'll include a link in the description below. And if you can articulate how you would use your time, congratulations, you're further along than I was when I started this journey. And now ask yourself if you need to retire early to achieve those things. Or can you find more time to do those things today? Don't let the excitement and hype around early retirement prevent you from gaining more freedom and flexibility right now. I think we'd all be better off if we challenged ourselves to think about how to gain more freedom and flexibility today, not in some distant future. And if you still aren't convinced that early retirement shouldn't be your goal, check out our other video on early retirement where we cover 3 additional reasons why it's overrated. As always, thanks so much for watching today and enjoy the journey.